We talked a lot about issues and problems and challenges we face, so I want to bring this more down to the personal level so that we don't feel overwhelmed by all of the truths that we heard today. Because if you're here in this room, there's probably no debate for you. You think what you saw and you know what you saw is the truth. So what's a little bit harder for us to figure out is what role we can play in doing something to provide some positive solutions to these issues. So I want to talk a bit about what I do here in Budapest, and I want to talk a little bit about the thinking process I have, which allows me to cope with these overwhelming issues that we face and carry on each day. So just to introduce myself, I kind of define myself in 3 ways. The first thing that I am here in the city is the environmental officer at Central European University. That's my job 3 days a week. The other 5 days a week, it's 2 days a week there, but 2 days a week in the markets and usually 1 day in between. I'm about 48 kilometers from Budapest in an organic farm in Zsámbak. But last but not least, I think it's important that we don't forget that we're not defined only by our work, but we're citizens who live in a city. And I work really hard to be a part of the movements which I feel good about and to surround myself by people who are inspiring. So, these environmental issues, our collective interests in solving them are what bring us together. We know these intense realities, rising ocean temperatures, ice melting, and things of this nature. They're huge global-sized problems which require human-orchestrated solutions. So human-driven solutions, a lot of us small people working together are what we need to solve these problems. We know why we're doing this. We're connected to something personally, whether it's something that happened where we grew up or whether it's our own personal study interests. So, you know, what types of things do I ask myself each day to make sure that I'm playing a role in solving environmental issues? So these things are very simple. You know, how and what I'm doing each day, every day, is connected to part of the solution. How is my time and energy and my mental capacity and my physical capacity spent being part of the solution? And how much can I try without collapsing and falling over and being overwhelmed? Focusing on these simple questions is very helpful in helping us find, you know, our way to be the most successful and happy and fulfilled in our lives. Now, of course, we all wish we had enough free time to worry about saving the world, and we wish we likely got paid for it and were compensated for it, but our professional ambitions are connected to this. So while asking ourselves these more human questions, we should also think, is our occupation, is our study path, is it part of us being part of the solution? Am I developing personally and professionally while participating? How can I turn my passions, the things I wish I could do in my free time, into my professional career? And then once I accomplish this and get this chance, how can I increase my impact? So this is the simple question. I care about something. I want to change something. But what can I do and what should it be? And what would I be best at? Now, the way I try to find the areas I want to focus on is I want to locate the combination between the things I'm passionate about, the things I really, really care about and think about every day, the values I have as a person, so the things that are inside of me because of the way I grew up, and also my talents, the things I'm good at, the things I can give to the world. So I try to find the combination of all of these, the central point of all of these passions, values, and talents, and make sure that I'm doing this every single day. So if this is, as part of the audience, if this is what you can say for yourself, then I'm very happy for you, and I congratulate you. But if you don't feel like this, then it's okay. It's all of our own constant search. And searching for this and redefining this over and over is something that we really need to focus on. So, types of simple questions and the things we should be asking ourselves are that we are the most effective as people when we know the crossover point between our passions and our talents and our interests. And to be the most effective in changing other people's minds, we have to be honest with ourselves first, because we can't sell something to someone that we don't believe in, or that we don't personify with ourselves and our actions. So now I want to tell you a bit about my activities and the way that I feel like I hopefully play a positive role in changing our society. So this is where I work 3 days a week, when I have my city life. It's the Central European University in the 5th District. I am the one person who's supposed to focus on environmental and sustainability issues in the university. It's quite a big job because we didn't really start thinking about these things until about 3 years ago. And it was mostly driven, first of all, by students who started asking more from their university. So the 3 major focus areas I have in this job are reducing our carbon footprint as an institution, providing a consultation role in the campus redevelopment project, because at the current moment we're going to rebuild and refurbish about 85% of our campus. And so I'm the one writing the design briefs for our university so that we ensure that we have a energy efficient future campus. The last thing, and the most fun part of my job, and the most important thing to me, is activism and outreach. Because one thing that a university shouldn't be is a place where people just go inside to study, have passionate discussions in classrooms, and then go home at night. All of these engaging dialogues that happen in universities should be taken to the streets. Just because we're an international university in Budapest with people from all over the world doesn't mean that we should be isolated against what's actually happening here in Budapest and in Central Europe. So I truly believe that the role of a university is to mold students into people who can change the world. And students also, while they're studying, they have a bit of self-responsibility. They need to know that it's their responsibility to ask hard questions and to participate. So, the types of things I encourage people to do in the university is volunteer. It often happens on local organic farms. Get to know the good things happening in Budapest. So I work really hard to introduce new students to organizations which I think are doing really good things. Try to pass on practical skills to people, whether it's knowing how to repair their own bike or knowing how to turn seeds into food they could eat. We try to organize workshops which do this. Of course, we want to organize programming which gets people's attentions and gets them thinking about something. Teaching young people and being part of reaching youth at a young age is really important, because we know they're easier to mold than some of these hard-headed adults we see walking by us on our commute each day. And last but not least, make small but important changes on campus. And this picture is representative of the one new water fountain so far, which we got on campus, because at the moment we're trying to eliminate university-purchased bottled water. And of course we have to provide solutions to accessing water before we steal the bottled water away from everyone. So that cuts it on my city life. I'll switch next to my other side of myself, which is in Zsámbak, a few days a week. So Zsámbak Bioket, where I work, is a young farm. It was just started in 2010 by Matthew Hayes, who's somewhat of an organic and biodynamic prophet here. It's this very small farm, but very magical and impressive things happen there. So we grow over 100 different types of vegetables on about 1 hectare of land. The other 3 hectares we grow crops which we feed to our horses and 250 or 300 chickens that we have. It's in Zsámbak. It's a small village with about 4,000 people, 48 kilometers from Budapest. So the mission of this farm, which is quite a big challenge, is to be more than a farm, to be more than just a place where vegetables come out of the ground. We want it to be an asset in the village, something that contributes to the local community. But also we have a big challenge here in Hungary of increasing consciousness of sustainable food production. So we need to teach people if we want them to seek out our products. We understand that we're managers of the land, but we don't just want to abuse the land. We understand that we are very connected to the place of land which we manage, and we want it to be a balanced relationship. So what we take out of the ground, we need to put back in with proper rotations and good composting. So what is our production system like? You see this, if you drive through the Hungarian countryside, you'll see a lot of fields where they're full of the same crop. And of course you probably know about this, but if you're growing the same thing over and over, and if you're growing the same crop in a field, it's not a very biodiverse landscape. So if you want the landscape to be, to host microscopic organisms and bugs and birds and small rodents. It should be a diverse ecosystem. So as you can see in this photo here, we don't have this one single crop the same crop on a very large space. Our land is very colorful, it's very diverse. We're growing at least 60 or 70 different things at any given time throughout the year. Of course, we try to reduce the carbon footprint of our operations, and we do this with muscle and hard work, basically. So we're using old but very reliable tools. Another important thing for me is we get to work with animals. So we're not using tractors. We're getting help from our friends, from our Shadi and Kenyash, our two horses. And while this is very good for the soul, it's not necessarily a fundamentally sound choice for reducing the costs of your labor. So this is a choice we take as a business who wants to do things differently. This is a bit more expensive and it takes more time, but for us it's really important to reduce the energy consumption within our operations. What do we produce? Basically anything that you can produce and more during all seasons. So you see all these colors. In the summer, yes, we have the things that everyone knows, tomatoes and paprika, and but the other impressive thing is that even in the middle of winter, when you don't want to even leave your house, we can still produce hardy salad greens in our folia tents. So it's not impossible to have a diverse amount of production all year round. And this diversity is something that's really important for keeping the balance in the system. And probably the most important and most fulfilling thing about being a part of this small farm is seeing how many people just want to come visit us and learn about organic growing, learn about growing vegetables in general. It's something I experienced here in Hungary. I've lived in a few different places, but the level of self-sufficiency in people is higher here. And us as people who want to do things related to preserving the environment, we should take advantage of this local treasure. People are very good craftsmen. People know a lot about gardening. People know a lot about fixing things themselves. This is something that we can play up. And so we have, a few times in a month, probably 5 or 6 times, groups coming out to learn from us, young and old. So it's all levels, all ages of people. It's important for us that we're not just going to a market and selling our products. We want to establish a partnership with our customers. So we have this weekly box system. And the important thing about the box system is that the level of transparency in the system and the level of knowledge from our customer perspective is very high. So they know us all by name. They know we send them a newsletter each week, which gives them a little look at life on the farm and gives them the update of what happened during the week. They come to the box pickup locations and they speak with us, and we tell them what happened during the week, how the weather was, how things are coming along, what they can expect next week, what they can cook from some of the things which they might not know. This personal relationship and this shortening of the food chain, it may not have a lot of increased financial value, but it certainly has a lot of increased personal value. And it raises the knowledge level and it raises the transparency within a food system. And this is something that we really, really need to change, because industrialized food systems are some of the most damaging processes to our environment. So, just to connect all these things together, I talked a bit about more abstract things at the beginning, but then I wanted to give you an example of how you can kind of, I'm not saying what I do during the week is the perfect example, but I took my passions. I'm really passionate about healthier food systems, about people being healthier by eating food which is better for the environment. The other thing I'm also passionate about is kind of activism and creative activism and working with inspired young people. And then my talents are, I really like physical work. I'm very capable of physical work. And also, I can kind of be quite flexible in a tough situation. So I can run out to the farm at 5:30 or 6 in the morning one day, and then sit in the office job the next in front of a computer trying to type a report. So the crossover point between my talents, passions, and values is kind of this strange balance between city living, technical capacity, and physical work. So it took me a while to find this, and I have to constantly refocus to see how I can have more of an impact in this role that I'm in. But this is the product of that thinking process. And we should never forget that our own personal development as a human being, as a community member, as a friend, as a family member, is an essential part of sustainable development. So you have to develop as a person to be someone who could pass on inspiring things to people who you want to impact. And I'll just end with the little saying that contagious inspiration is much more powerful than persuasion. So all of these people that we're trying to impact, that we're trying to say, look at this image, look at this data that we have. It's trying to, to try to get them to make a different policy, or to try to change your neighbor so that they're not littering all the time, or to try to teach children. We need to be inspirational. We need to have lots of energy. We need to have positive messages, because this inspiration which comes from this is much more powerful than saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. We change people by inspiring them, not by persuading them or begging them. So thank you very much.